revolution is all about? Green revolution is all about increasing the production of crop, or you can say agriculture sector. Okay, so green revolution refers to large increase in production of food grains resulting from the use of high yielding variety seeds. Now, if you want to grow crops, you need seeds, right? If you are using good quality of seeds, of course the production will be good. Okay, so green revolution, the main motive was to increase the production. But how you will increase the production? With the use of HYV seeds. HYV seeds is basically, you have to remember the definition as well, plus the full form. HYV is high yielding variety seeds, and especially for wheats and rice. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Others?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what is green revolution? Green revolution refers to large increase in production of food grains. So you are going to increase the food grains, and how? Resulting from the use of high yielding variety seeds, especially for wheat and rice. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay. Now, HYV seeds, what are they? So basically, HYV seeds are seeds of better quality than normal quality seeds. So there are lots of like different types of seeds, right? So, but if the quality of seeds is good, that is known as HYV seeds. There are high standards. Okay. The produce from these seeds is more compared to the normal seeds. For example, if you are using normal seeds, maybe you will be getting 1 kg of wheat or 1 kg of grains and all that. But if you are using HYV seeds, then maybe the production will be double. Maybe it will be 2 kg, 5 kg, 10 kg, right? So the produce from these seeds is more compared to the normal seeds. However, the use of HIV seeds require the use of fertilizer and pesticides in correct quantities. So if you want to grow something, you need seed plus the fertilizers, right? So it's not about only using seeds. It's about using fertilizer and the pesticides. Fertilizers, ma'am, what are fertilizers? Basically, in order to make your soil fertile, you're going to use fertilizer. And pesticides is basically, suicide. The word CIDE is basically the death. Suicide means self, you are killing yourself. Okay, so that is suicide. But pesticides, pests are basically the small insects, okay, which destroy the crop. Yeah, who destroy the crop. So pesticides means using the using the medicine or something like that, that is going to kill those pests, kill those insects. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Others? Yes. I want acknowledgement from everyone. Others getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So using see, you are going to use HYV seeds plus you are going to use fertilizers and the pesticides. Fertilizers, in order to make things fertile, you are going to use make soil fertile. You are going to use fertilizer, and pesticides in order to kill those insects, small insects and all that. You are going to use pesticides in correct quantities. You are not going to use them in like abundance or something like that. Correct quantities, as well as you need water, regular supply of water. Also, the application of these inputs in correct portion is important. Okay. So now till then, what we have what we have learned. First, we learned that, ma'am, what is green revolution? Green revolution basically refers to increase the production of food grains, and how you're going to increase it with the help of high yielding seeds, especially for wheat and rice. Now, ma'am, what is high yielding seeds? High yielding variety seeds. So HIV seeds are those are seeds of better quality than normal quality seeds. The produce from these seeds is more compared to the normal seeds. Okay, till here. So first you will write green revolution, the heading, and after that you will write meaning, then this meaning, and after that you will put hashtag HYV seeds. So high variety this and this. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Write it down. Done, students?
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, others? I hope everyone is done.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. I hope everyone. Is there anyone who is not done? Anyone who is not done? No?
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now the question is, why was the green revolution implemented? Like why there was a need to increase the output and why there was need to use the seeds and all that, right? For example, I am giving you extra classes, right? So why I am giving you the first, I'll explain you what is extra class. So I'll just tell you that extra class is basically over there I'll be revising your syllabus and I'll be clarifying your doubts. Okay, this is extra like extra classes. But then the question will be why I'm giving you extra classes. So why I'm giving either your performance is not good or I want to improve your grades. Okay. So similarly, the question is, why was the green revolution implemented? Okay. So at independence, about, the 75% of the country population was dependent on agriculture. However, productivity in the agriculture sector was very low because of the use of old technology and the absence of required infrastructure for the vast variety of farmers. Okay. India's agriculture literally depends on monsoon, and if the monsoon fell short, the farmers were in trouble unless they had access of irrigation facilities, which were very few had. Okay, so first thing is that why green revolution was implemented. That first thing is 75% of the population were dependent on agriculture, right? And second problem was that there was low productivity in the agriculture sector. Third, that there was no infrastructure, right? Fourth, there was no irrigation facilities. Like farmers were totally dependent on monsoon. If there is monsoon, your crops is going to be your produce is going to be in a good way. But if there is monsoon failure or there is no rain, then your crop is going to be get destroyed. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The stagnation in agriculture during the colonial rule were permanently broken by the Green Revolution. So there was a stagnation in the agriculture sector, right? And because of Green Revolution, this stagnation broke it down. Okay. So, however, growth in agriculture output is not enough and does not have much of the difference in the economy as a whole. If a large what is happening? Okay, if a large proportion of this increase is consumed by the farmer themselves instead of being sold in the market. Other problem was that, see, at that moment also, Indians were producing a lot, right? But they were doing? They were basically commercializing the agriculture sector, right? They were selling it. Instead of consuming it for themselves, they were selling it, right? On the other hand, the subsequent amount of agriculture output is sold in the market by the farmers. The higher output can make the difference to the economy. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you are going to write you are not going to write the, what's happening? Okay. So you are going to write why was the green revolution implemented, and you are not going to write this entire paragraph. You are just going to write few points, which I am just telling you. First, you are going to write 75% of the country population was dependent on agriculture. I just don't understand what is happening. Okay, you are going to write few points itself, like why there was a need. So first, this one, 75% of the country's population was dependent on agriculture, right? Second, you are going to write low productivity of agriculture sector, or you can write low productivity in agriculture sector. Clear? Third, you are going to write absence of required infrastructure. Fourth, you are going to write lack of irrigation facilities. Okay, I'm just mentioning here lack of irrigation facilities. Okay, and then you're going to write stagnation in agriculture sector. Okay, and then you are going to write here, from here, large proportion of this increase in consumption by the farmer, large proportion of produce, was being sold in the market. Okay, large proportion of produce was being sold in the market. So I'm repeating. This is your first point. Why green revolution was needed? 75% of the population were dependent on agriculture. Till here. Second, low productivity. Third, absence of infrastructure. Fourth, lack of irrigation facilities. Fifth, stagnation in agriculture sector. Sixth, large proportion of produce was being sold in the market. Okay, clear? Or you can just write, just don't write this point. Large proportion, just write commercialization of commercialization of commercialization of agriculture sector or commercialization of crops. You can write. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Agriculture
Yes,
sector.
ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
This.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, I think everyone is done. Okay, so basically now you can see this portion. The portion of agriculture produce which is sold in the market by the farmer is called marketable surplus. Okay, so you're going to write it a point, just mark it a point over here. What like just write marketable, marketed or marketable profit. So this is you're going to write the portion of agriculture produce which is sold in the market by the farmer is called this. Okay, just write it down and then we'll start with the benefit. Done?
Done, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we are going to do the benefit of other. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay, Adit. So basically, you will be we just covered few things like the green revolution and HIV seeds. So you'll be covering. Just leave, I guess, 1 or 2 page for that, and you can start from benefit of green revolution. Okay, you can cover it like you just ask for the recording and just cover it by there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Now the benefit of green revolution. So first benefit is increase in market surplus. So basically, if you are using good quality of seeds, you're using fertilizer, everything. So of course there will be surplus means everything will be increased. Okay. So a good proportion of rice and wheat produced during the green revolution period available as market surplus. We have already done what is market surplus, right? Marketed surplus was sold by the farmers in the market. As a result, the income of farmer increased. Okay, so first this was the benefit that market surplus increased, and now farmers sold their crops or the produce, and because of that their income increased. Okay, second, decrease in price of food grain. See what happens, for example, if there are only 2 people who are producing, there are, for example, in an economy there are 5 people, okay, and you have only 3 kg of 3 kg of wheat. So of course the prices will be very high. Why? Because you have only 3 kg and there are 4 people who wants to consume this rice or grains. Okay, so prices will be high. But now everyone was producing grains. So everywhere there was surplus, enough of grains. So that's why there was decrease in price of food grains. Okay. So the price of food grains declined related to the other items of the consumption. The low income group who spends a large percentage of their income on food benefited from this decline in relative prices. So basically, see, it doesn't affect rich people. What it affects basically the poor people, right? So this is what it was affecting. So now the people of low income groups, earlier they used to spend, for example, if they're earning 100 rupees, they used to spend 80 rupees on the food grains. But now, though the price came down, so now they have to spend only 20 or 30% of their income. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Others?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now buffer stock. You already know the word stock. Stock means at a given point of time, right? So buffer means a large amount. The spread of green revolution technology enabled the government to produce sufficient amount of food grains to build buffer stock which could use in the time of food shortage. Earlier, what was the condition of India? That there was no food. We used to import food from other countries. But now we have enough of food that we can store it for longer period of time. For example, maybe in upcoming years, maybe there can be some calamity, or maybe there is a need of food, or there is any food shortage. So at that time, if you will, buffer means you are storing it somewhere. So if you store that food grain, you have enough. A food grain, you are storing it for whenever you need it. So you can use that food grain at that time. So because of green revolution, buffer stock was possible. The spread of green revolution technology enabled the government to produce sufficient amount of food grains to build buffer stock, which could be used in the times of food shortage. Whenever there will be food shortage or any issues related to food supply, government can use this buffer stock. Like government can use grains from whatever government is storing right now. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, yes. Next is self-reliance. Self-reliance. Earlier, what we were doing, what Indians were importing food from other country, but now Indian agriculture productivity increased sufficiently to enable the government to be self-sufficient in the food grain. Now India no longer had to be a mercy of America or any other nation for meeting our food nation requirements. So now India is not going to import anything from other country, or they don't have to become mercy, means somewhere we are requesting them for the food supply. Okay, now we can produce our food according to our need, and we can fulfill the requirement of the country. Clear? So these were the benefit of green revolution. First, market supply increase, and because of that, income of farmer increase. Then decrease in food grains. Now low income group who used to spend their entire or large percentage of income on the food, now basically the prices, because prices decline, so they don't have to spend large amount of money in the food income, in the food. Next, buffer stock. Earlier there was not it was not sufficient for to meet today's requirement. So buffer stock was something which was very unexpected, right? So now, because of green revolution, produce increase, and because of this, government started to store the food, and sometimes like they are going to store the food, and they are going to use that food when there is a food shortage or some issues. Clear? Self-reliance is basically Indian agriculture productivity increase, and now India is no longer the slave or the mercy of some other country. Now India is going to produce the foods according to their own requirement, and they are going to fulfill the requirement of theirs. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can quickly write it down. Hashtag benefits of green revolution.
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Everyone is done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we are going to do critical evaluation of green revolution. Critical means now how critical evaluation is basically some people will be saying good things about it and some people will be saying negative things about it. Okay, so critical evaluation. In exam hall, there are high chances either they'll be asking you the positive points, like what were the good points, the positive and the negative. Okay, so critical evaluation of green revolution. The farmer who could benefit from Hyv seed required reliable irrigation facilities as well as the financial resource to purchase fertilizer and pesticides, which small farmer could not afford. Thus, green revolution increased the inequalities between small farmer and big farmer, since only big farmer who could afford the required inputs reaped the benefit of green revolution. Now, so critical evolution is basically benefits we have already done. Now, some people say that, see, yeah, few people say that yes, because of this market surplus was there, price of food grains came down, but there were few people who criticizes that because of green revolution there was no benefit and somehow it was negative impact. Okay, so first critical evolution is this. Basically, as I told you, green revolution helps you to produce the Hyv seeds. Like because of Hyv seeds, you are going to produce your agriculture. But see, Hyv seeds through green revolution you are getting it. But what about the fertilizer? What about the pesticides? What about the irrigation facilities? What about them? Who will be affording this? For example, I am very poor, right? I am not that much economically good or economically stronger, powerful. So what basically, okay, Hyv seeds you are giving me, but what about these facilities, the fertilizer, the pesticides? I cannot produce my agriculture, like I cannot produce grains with the help of only Hyv seeds. I need some other material as well, like the fertilizer, pesticides, irrigation facilities and all that. So what happened, basically the rich people who were rich, who had this facility for fertilizers, pesticides and all that, they got the Hyv seeds through green revolution and they produce in a good amount. But the poor people who were, because they were getting only seeds and it is not possible uh, to produce, grains and all that with just one or two seeds. Okay, with just a packet of seed. No, you need other thing as well, right? So first thing is that farmer who could not benefit from Hyv seeds required reliable irrigation facilities as well as the final resources to purchase fertilizer and pesticides, which small farmer could not afford. Thus, green revolution increased the inequalities between small farmers and big farmers, since only big farmers who could afford the required inputs reaped the benefit of green revolution. So whatever benefit was given by green revolution, that was used by big farmers, not by the small farmers. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you'll give a hashtag critical evolution of green revolution, and after that you will write this green revolution increased the inequalities between small farmers and big farmers. This heading. Okay, you'll just give a heading, and after that you will write uh, this. I'll just mark it down. The farmers required. From here, farmers required reliable irrigation facilities as well as a financial resource to purchase fertilizer and pesticides, which small farmers could not afford. Okay, since only the big farmer who could afford the required inputs reap the benefit because of this. Okay, you will write because of this. Because of this, only the big farmers who could afford. Okay, just don't write big farm. Just write big farmers who could afford the required inputs reap the benefit of green revolution. Clear?
Ma'am, could you repeat?
Okay. So first you'll write critical evolution of green revolution. Then you will write first point, and this will be your heading. Green revolution increase the inequalities between big farmer and small farmer. Okay, this will be your heading, and this will be your explanation that the farmers required reliable irrigation facilities as well as the financial resource. So you are not going to write. Okay. The farmers required reliable irrigation facilities as well as the financial resource to purchase fertilizer and resources, which small farmers do not afford. Only big farmers who can afford the required input reaped the benefit of green revolution. Okay, only big farmers who could afford, they just don't write anything like this. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am. Clear now.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, everyone is done.
Yes, ma'am.
Others,
Yes,
Mohammed
ma'am.
Ayan. Oh. Others, Mariam, done.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Okay. Now the second is
Yeah,
in
ma'am.
the in the first phase of green revolution, like basically from 1960 to mid 1970, the use of HYV seeds was restricted to the more affluent states such as Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Further, the use of HYV seeds primarily benefit the wheat growing regions only. However, in the second phase of green revolution, the HYV technology spread to the larger number of states and benefit more variety of crops. Just remember one thing. See, whenever, for example, I am distributing notes, okay? If I'll distribute only to the students who are regular, the students who are not regular, they are not going to get the benefits. Of course, they'll be criticizing it that ma'am distributed notes, but she only distributed it to only few students, not to everyone. So that is somewhere inequality, right? So this was the critical appraisal through people that in the first phase of green revolution, which was basically from 1960 to 1970, the use of HIVCs were restricted to some restricted to the more affluent. Affluent means like which were very good in producing and all that, or maybe you can say rich states. Affluent states such as Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Okay, and just remember two things. First, it was state. Why my marker is not? Just a minute. Okay. So first it was restricted to okay. First it was, I have to change the color as well. Okay. So first is benefit few states, right? And plus few crops. You are going to crops as well as states. So earlier it was in the first phase. It was restricted to only affluent states such as Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Plus it was only restricted to wheat growing regions. Okay. And in the second phase of Green Revolution, which was from 1970 to 1980s, the HYV technology spread to larger states. Plus, it benefit more variety of crops. So earlier, it was restricted only to states. It was restricted to only 2 or 3 states. Plus, it was only restricted to wheat. We are going to use only HYV seeds for the production of wheat. But in the second phase, it was restricted to other states plus for other crops as well. We are going to use the HYV seeds. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So that's why people criticizes that earlier it was only restricted to few states plus for only production of wheat. But later on, it increased. Clear? So you're going to write in the first phase, Green Revolution, this and this. The HIV seeds was restricted to the more affluent states like Punjab and this. And further, the use of HIV seeds benefited the wheat growing regions only. And however, in the second phase, this happened. Clear?
Ma'am, is this the continuation of the last question?
No, this is the first point. Okay. Right? And this is the second point. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
Done. Students,
Yes, ma'am. Done.
others?
Yes, ma'am.
Now the next last point is, I hope everyone is done. What about Khushi, Hiba, Mariam?
Done, ma'am.
Done?
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Yes? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now the third point, the HYV crops were also more prone to attack to pests, and the small farmers who adopted this technology could lose everything if the pests attack. So you know what is pests, right? The insect. So basically there are high chances as compared to normal crops. There are high chances if you are using HYV crops or the HYV seeds. See, crops produced with the help of HYV seeds are known as HYV crops. Okay. So once you grow the crop, so there are high chances that these crops are going to be like more prone to attack by pests. Okay, and small farmers, they don't have much pesticides. So once the pests attack their crop, then it is going to be fully destroyed. So somewhere they complain that these HYV seeds are not good for them because they cannot afford pesticides, right? So third one is the HYV crops were also more prone to attack by pests, and the small farmer who adopted this technology could lose everything in a pest attack. So if there is any pest attack, unfortunately, the small farmers would lose everything. Why? Because they don't have any technology to control these pests. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Quickly write it. Done? Who is done?
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, so those who are done, you can leave the meeting and we'll just continue. Okay, next class. Hopefully, I'll take 2 more class for this and then we'll be done. Hopefully. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Everybody try to join within 5 minutes because if